Hello everyone and welcome back. So last night I edited the version of the video that was uploaded for yesterday. I realized as I was editing that video that having all the states listed as integers like we've got here does lead to a bit of confusion. It's difficult to keep track of what we're doing with each individual state. So what I'm going to do here actually, we're going to come up to the top and make some enumeration values. So we start with a public enum, and let's just call this modes for now. We'll go like this. And we want to have what we call a normal mode. And then we're going to have the normal response. And what this will do, just to clarify what I'm doing, this is the normal show the target word and play audio. Click on the show button to reveal the result, right? So that's the normal. We're just going through, we hear the word, we're learning it. We're not really doing anything besides just viewing. It'd be like if you actually had a 3x5 card that you wrote on one side, you flip it over to see the results, and you're just going through it that way. So, you know, not many bells and whistles. Next up, though, we had where we would just do the target word audio only, though. And we would just play the audio. And then we had to respond with the word that we're looking for. So this, again, was play the audio for target word, nothing else. Click on show to reveal both the target and a lexicon word. And I'm just going to use lexicon word because that's how we've been describing things. And so next is going to be the display target type lexicon. That's going to be the next thing. And we'll say display target type lexicon response. So we'll put that in. And this again will be display target word and play audio. User has to type in the lexicon word and hit submit. So we'll actually keep a little bit of consistency and put it this way. Okay, display lexicon type target, and this is going to be display lexicon word, no audio. User types in target word and hits submit button where audio plays then. Okay, so a little bit wordy, but this is just to give a understanding, so when we glance at this, we'll know what these words mean. Then, of course, we're going to need the play lexicon type target response, which is the return back. And then what I actually had wanted to do with the next version was that we would play the audio and type the target. So I actually inadvertently ended up repeating this that we had before. We play the audio and then type the lexicon, but we want to actually do the opposite. So we want to target audio, type target word. So again, this is play audio of target word. User has to type what they heard, the target word, and hit submit button. So that's the intention of this one. So then target audio type target response is what we're going to have in here. So this will work as a way to spell things correctly. So now that we've got these enums up here, and enum is just short for enumerator, we need to actually start using them here. And it's actually pretty easy to do. We don't need states anymore, so we can take that out. And instead, what we're going to put in is modes, and we'll call states here. Mode states equals a new modes. So we will rename states this way. Now, obviously, we can't convert types this way as it's saying here. So let's go ahead and see where this pops up. So as we come in with states, then in this case, we want case modes.normal. So if states is selected as modes.normal, we come here. That means this is going to be modes.normal response. We're going to update this to modes. And we'll have to come up here. So the second one is target audio only. And so modes.target audio only. And of course, this then will be the modes.target audio only. Did I say result when it should be response? Yes. So let's correct that. This should be response. We want to keep consistent. Now we can scroll back down here. And we update this as well to response because that's what it needs to be. After that, we have modes dot, and this is doing the target word. So target with display target type lexicon. Let's make sure that is what is correct. Lexicon. Yes, so display target type lexicon. So we can come down here and do modes.display target type lexicon response. This one down here will become the modes dot, and we are displaying the lexicon and typing target. So display lexicon type target. This becomes modes.display lexicon type target response. And finally, we're going to need to correct how we did this here, but this is going to be modes.target audio type target. I'll put in here, and this will be modes.target audio type target response. Pick the wrong one. Modes.target audio type target response. So that will correct this part of the problem. And then, as I said, we're going to need to update this. So instead of changing this to lexicon, we actually want this to be the target word. And we want this to also be the target word down here. So we'll save that. Now there's going to be the loop, the case that comes down here. So if this case is going to be modes.normal, just the regular normal, then we change it to then states is now going to be the same as modes.normal response. So that's how we're going to update that. This is going to be if it's modes.normal response, then we do this where we change the states back to modes.normal. So it's easier to keep track of how we're doing this now. Case 2 was the audio only, so target audio only, and we change it to modes.target audio only response. If it comes through as modes.target audio only response, then we switch it back to modes.target audio only. And we do the rest of this the same on here. This is where we have display, this is where it's modes.display target type lexicon. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I'll double check here in a second. And if it is that, we're ignoring it. We just want it to go back because it shouldn't be on here. Actually, we really don't need these. I put them in, but we don't really need the even ones on this. So I'm going to go ahead and actually get rid of these for now. If it doesn't match, it'll go to the default. So we don't really actually need to specifically mention these. So if it comes here, though, this is going to be modes. This is the display target type lexicon response. Display target type lexicon response. There we go. And then we switch this back to modes.display target type lexicon, the regular one. And this is going to be the modes.display lexicon type target, but it's display lexicon type target response, and we're switching this back to modes.display lexicon type target. So we'll put that in. Finally, on this one, it's going to be the modes, and it's going to be the target audio with target response, and we set it back to modes target audio type target. So that should work for this part. Finally, we need to come down into here. So this is when case is modes.display target type lexicon, and then we're going to change to mode display target type lexicon response. If it is modes of, so this is this is display lexicon type target, and we change it to modes.display lexicon type target response. This is of modes where we do target audio type target, and we're going to change it to modes target audio type target response. So that's how we want this to come through. So now, if everything was done correctly, the only other thing we need to do is come up, and when we enter into, we'll put it in the flashcard program here. As we enter in here, this is where we will set our states. So states is going to be set to, and I want to test the last one that we did with the changes. So it's going to be the target audio type target. So this one here, this is what we're going to set it to. Now, fingers crossed, if we set all this up correctly, it should work. So let's run this and see if this will help us stay a little bit more organized. So come over here.
Hola.
Hola comes up. And so here we're supposed to, iteration is now target audio type target. So we enter translation. We're going to have to update the text because it really needs to say hola. We submit that.
Hola.
Hola is correct. So this is doing what we want it to.
Examen.
Examine. So if we do, I don't know, and we submit
Examen.
that, it now spells it correctly. Now, there's a reason why I wanted to actually come into this as well with the specific spelling, because I have a specific idea in mind on how we can actually help when it comes to spelling. And part of what we're going to be doing is we're going to also be creating some colors that will be used for the background colors of this when we have correct answers. So let's put that, it's not so much under program control, but we'll just put this under like program, I don't want to do all kinds. We'll do program settings. And what we can do is a color. And this is going to be the incorrect response. And that's going to be a new color. We will define that momentarily. And we'll have color correct response is a new color as well. Then once we've got these colors, as we initialize, when we come down to, we can even do it here in Flashcard program, but I don't really want to have it reinitialize every time it comes through. So I think what I'll do is at the end of form 1, before we go into user entered, or maybe we could even do it at the beginning of user entered. User entered is a good spot to probably do this one. So we'll come up. We'll do that as part of this user entered. It's not going to be the temporary bit of it, but before we call Flashcard for the very first time, then what we can do at this point is we can set the incorrect response is going to be a color, and we will use for color, I've looked these up before, so this should be a light, we'll use light pink, so it's going to be a red, but it's not going to be a very strong red. For correct response, we will enter color of light green. So that's what we'll do. Now, what we can do at that point, just to show on here, is when we come up to where we do any of our any of these, as we append the text, for example, then what we can do is RTB display one dot back color is going to be incorrect for this one, incorrect response. And up here we do RTB display one dot back color is going to be the correct response. So visually that will update it. We'll want to do that with these as well. RTB display one dot back color is correct response, and down here RTB display one dot back color is incorrect response. So we'll put that in. Now you might have already spotted the problem. We also need to include up here color default back is a new color because it's going to keep the color that we changed it to until we reset it. So when we come into the hide all, under hide all, we can actually include this as well. So under hide all, with the display boxes, we can also do RTB display one dot back color is going to be the default back, and RTB display two back color is going to be the default back. And did I spell it that way? Because I actually want this to be capitalized. There we go. And that does mean that we'll have to come down here and correct the case on here as well. There we go. So this will set the background color to be whatever color we choose. And so finally, we just need to come up here and say that the default back color is going to be color.white. So we'll default it to white. Now, I also wanted to, before I forget, come down, and we don't want to do the iteration here, the target type response. We don't want it to say intertranslation. This is going to be here, a type what you heard. Or a better way to do this is spell the target word you just heard. So we'll do it that way. We'll spell this. Now, when we run this, we come in.
Examen.
So we have this, and it says, spell the target word you just heard. We'll clean up the rest of this because we're not going to need that. But it's like, oh, what word did I just hear?
Examen.
So click that and go, okay, so it's examine. And then we can submit.
Examen.
And it didn't update the back. Why was that? Oh, did I have it? I didn't include it on the very end. So we need to include this on all the places. So RTB display one back color is going to be set to correct response for this, and RTB display one back color is going to be incorrect response on this one. So yeah, we have to dot all our I's, cross all our T's on here. So we come into this.
Examen.
And so we'll type examine like this, and we submit.
Examen.
And now you can see, hey, it's green. It gives us a visual feedback.
Examen.
And say test, because we translated.
Examen.
So, no, the correct answer is examine. Now, this alone is already better than what we had, but I actually, for this in particular, want to do a little bit different for this feedback, because I don't really want it to be done in the same manner that we've got it here. So what do I mean by that? We can actually come up to the Form 1 design. We can click onto the rich text box over here, come over to this, and then check for text changed is what we're looking for. So if text changes on here, then what we can do is we can come in here, double click this. Now, when this comes in, we only want this to be, we only want to check what we're going to be doing if the state is in this target audio if this state is in target audio type target. That's the only time you want this to display. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to say if modes is, or if states is equal to modes dot target audio type target. If that is the case, then what we're going to do is we're going to test a substring to see if, as we're typing, it is correct. So let me just put in a little bit of what I'm going for, and then you'll see what I mean by that. So what we're going to do first of all is we have to check once we're in here if RTB display one dot, or this is going under RTB display two, if the text is not equal to nothing. So it has to have something in place before we can even do this. Then what we are going to want to do is we're going to take a substring of the text. Now, the substring of the text is going to be whatever we put as the text no matter what. So if RTB display to text is equal to the, if that is equal to the chosen target word, word or phrase substring of length RTB display to dot text length, if the substring is equal to that length, if it's the same, then what we're going to do is we are going to set the RTB display to back color to correct response, because so far it is correct. Else, if it's not the same, we're going to do RTB display to dot back color to incorrect response. So there has to be something in here for this to work. One thing we can do just to make sure everything is fine at this point is we can do RTB display to back color is to the default back color to start with, and then we will update. So if we backspace after putting in a value, it will correct it before it checks if there's nothing in there. So it'll automatically start as white to do this. So now there are a couple of things that we also need to do on this to make sure that we don't go too far. So for example, well, let's just test this first of all. So now that we've gotten to this part, let's go ahead and test. There is a build error. What is the problem? Oh, I need to include the parentheses there. So we'll save that. Now we'll test this out and see if what I'm thinking of now makes sense. So if we come in here and select user, it wants us to say hola. So if I say A, oh, that's not the right letter. But if I put H, it's not picking the right one there either. So we need to make sure. I see what the issue was. So we actually, we need to tell it what the start index is, which is going to be 0. So we're starting at 0 and then going for this length. So now if we run it and this comes up, then when we click on this,
examine,
as we're trying to spell this, if we type E, it's green. If we type F, oh no, it's wrong. We can backspace over. And now it's saying, hey, this is the correct number. We want X, examine. Now, that's the problem. If I type longer than the text, we run into this issue. So what we want to do to correct that bit is we want to make sure that if the display text is too long, that we like either immediately make this read only so that you can't type further, or we make it incorrect again. So I am of the opinion that we might as well make it incorrect again. So one of the first things we can do is we can say if RTB display to text length is greater than the chosen target word or phrase length, then what we're going to do is we're going to make RTB display to back color is going to equal incorrect response, because it's obviously too big. Otherwise, we will then put in this code here. And that way, when we run it now, if a user is coming in,
examine,
they're trying to spell this and they say examine, and instead of hitting enter, they start typing more. Oh, wait, now it's showing incorrect. And we can come back to this. Now, at this point, we can submit.
Examine.
It'll still be correct. And if
examine,
if they want to go midway through and try to submit, it's still going to be incorrect. So we can leave the other code exactly like it is. But this will give us the ability as we're spelling it, because it's so key to be able to learn how to spell words correctly, that this gives us a fail-safe as we're doing it. We'll be able to spell the word in the language that we're learning. And this is especially important when you're using a key set that you're not used to. So for example, when I start putting Ukrainian words in and I'm trying to type in Ukrainian, there's a lot of the letters in the Cyrillic alphabet that I'm not as used to, because the sounds in Ukrainian and Russian and all of that, all Slavic languages, are slightly different. Some of them are different. I have taken a course in Russian when I was in college, but there's differences in how the pronunciation between Russian and Ukrainian is, even where the letters are pronounced differently. So this will give instant feedback as you're typing. And because of the way that we've done this, if we wanted to take it, like this could be easy mode. You're putting in the correct response if it's correct. We could, if we wanted to, we could add the same check for if it's any of the things that we're typing. So it always will do a substring check, and that can be the easy mode. So you can always get instant feedback before you submit. But you really only need it when it's something that you're really training on. So we could actually make a hard mode as well. And we could make the target audio type response hard mode issue where it doesn't hit this because it's not going to be set to that mode. So in other words, you have the option here to create other modes than just this one and have that instant feedback. And like I said, you can make a hard mode where you're not able to see that feedback immediately while we're doing it. So with that in mind, next up, we'll be dealing with more of the issues of the design. One thing we haven't added in yet is if the language is right to left, these text boxes don't show it right to left yet. So we're going to add that functionality in our next video. I hope you all have a wonderful day.